Hello, and welcome to BritCon 2021. My name is Tony Kay. I am a freelance writer based in Seattle and a longtime panel interviewer at Crypticon Seattle. And I am delighted to be joining BritCon for this very special panel. We are here today with Lady Stevens, more commonly known as Patricia Quinn.
There's nothing common about Patricia Quinn, sir. Thank you.
Of course. Well, in many ways, she needs no introduction to fans of cult cinema. She will forever be immortalized in pop culture as the decadent alien libertine Magenta in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. But as I am sure we will see, Patricia has enjoyed a life well lived and a long and illustrious career acting on stage, in film, and on television. Thank you for joining us, Patricia. How are you?
You didn't say theater.
Theater. Yes, indeed. There are plenty of theater questions forthcoming, for sure.
I'm sorry. Okay. I'm good, thank you. I'm very happy to be with you.
That's good to hear, and we're happy to have you. How have you been lately? How have you been weathering the pandemic and life in general?
I swore I wouldn't mention that.
Oh, sorry.
But I was going to say this really beats it. I prefer, this is great. We do this every day, please, at the moment.
Yes.
Will you catch me up with me every day now? Thank you. Okay.
Oh,
all right. No, it's been horrific. Everything is horrific, and now we're in a heat wave. I mustn't complain about anything after the freezing weather. I won't open my mouth because nothing's politically correct anymore, so I have to be ever so careful.
No worries. No problem. Let's actually rewind, and I'm very curious. You started out acting very young. This is something that you took to very quickly. Could you tell us a little bit about your early days growing up in Belfast?
Yes, well, I was born in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Mm-hmm. So I only mention that because, well, I started winning lots of elocution competitions and things. My mother got me into all that. She also sent me to classes of ballet and tap. It, like little Nell, really, with the tap.
Oh, wow.
Nobody knows that about me. And then I was in a church play. I joined the church because we went to a new neighborhood. So I went there and I joined the dramas thing in the church. So I was in the play. And I came down the street with my mother one day, and one of the neighbors stopped her and said to my mother, "She's very good, your wee little girl, Mrs. Quinn." I thought, oh, she meant acting in the play. Well, I liked that. So I thought, maybe I was very good. They liked me, I remember that. And I liked it. So that was the beginning. And then I was in the a drama group in Belfast. It was always kind of acting. And then the guy who ran the arts theatre in Belfast, the professional theatre, big theatre in Belfast, saw me in the group and asked me to join his theatre. It's extraordinary. So I went to see my headmistress at school and I said, "I'm leaving." She said, "No, you mustn't. You must do this and do that." And I said, "No, I wish to be an actress and I'm going to join the arts theatre." And I did.
Wonderful. You actually took off, I think, very early for London. You were, I think, 17.
That's right. Oh, yeah. You know things about me. You've done your homework. I was 17 and I said to my mother, because what had happened, I was at the arts theatre, but then I got flu or something, and the theatre phoned up and they said to my mother, "When is Patricia coming back?" And my mother said, "Oh, she won't be back for weeks, dear. She's not well at all." My mother wasn't used to theatres. You can't be weeks and ill. Or they recast, which they did. So Mummy was lovely and lost me my job. And so then all these actors in the theatre, I met up with them after, and they're all saying, "Oh, poor Pat, you know, you've lost your job," and blah, blah, blah. I know they're all thinking, "Thank goodness, get rid of her." And so I defiantly said to them, "Oh, it's fine. I'm going to London." And they all went, "Oh, are you?" I said, I just made that up. So I had to go. So I got on the boat at 17. And actually, they took a great photo of me. The Belfast Telegraph. They took me down to the docks and made me stand on the bollards that ships are roped to and chained to, and do it standing like this and in this pose. And it said, the headline, I've still got it, it's amazing. It says, "Countdown for Stardom." That's what they did. It's amazing. My father arranged that. He was good at that sort of stuff.
That's wonderful. So your parents were very supportive, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, I went to, I think it gets less each time. My son said to me, the last time you told me that, Mother, you said it was £10 in your pocket. And I said, I got on a boat at 17 with £5 in my pocket. My son Quinn said, it was 10 last time. I said, oh, thanks. And that's all I had. Yeah. And hope in my heart and a lot of ambition. But I got in the wrong boat. I should have gotten the boat to America. I got on the boat, and you can see it from where I live. You know, it's over there in Ireland, from Ireland, Maricaca, and there, England. But I wanted to be in the theatre. That was my ambition, you know.
Of course.
Play my Lady Macbeths and things, you know. So if I'd gone to the States, Susan Sarandon would have been...
I think you did all right. Taking what was it like being in London at that time? Because it was such a cultural epicenter. What was it like being young and in that environment for you?
Young, how lovely. When I was 17, I'm not going to say what year that was, so watch out. Then things went on from there. I became an usherette in the theatre because I wanted to see every play. So I, you know, that's how I got to go to I got placed in different theatres all the time, you know, because in those days they used to serve afternoon tea in the theatre and we had trays and serving people and blah, blah, blah. And then, oh yeah, and anyway, so that I did that so that I could watch them on the stage and see what they were all doing and why they were doing it. And then I went on from there. And then I went to live in Chelsea, which was great in the 60s, 70s, in Gunter Grove. And there we were in World's End with our wonderful shop called Granny Takes a Trip. And wonderful clothes. And then Vivienne Westwood opened next door. Her first shop was called Sex. We all bought in there. We were wonderful. We were truly the beautiful people. You know, Rod Stewart, Jagger, everyone was on the King's Road. Terence Stamp, the actor, and just people. Everyone who was anyone was on the King's Road every Saturday. And we were gorgeous. We were in our, you know, velvet flared trousers, pink, that's the boys, and wonderful shirts and floral jackets, that's the boys, all from Granny Takes a Trip. Granny ruled our lives. So that, it was a wonderful time. And then I was in the theatre a lot. I was on stage, you know, I got work. And bits and television and things. I got myself an agent and got work. And then I eventually decided to go to drama school. Not that I needed to. I just followed my then boyfriend to this wonderful school for 3 years.
And so how did the sequence go in terms of segueing from theater to television? When did that occur for you? When did you initially?
No sequence. I mean, that was what you did. You know what I mean? I didn't know what you mean.
Oh, I mean,
one did both.
Yeah, but oftentimes after you've been working in theater for a spell is when opportunities open up in film and TV. And I was kind of wondering how that happened for you when you first started doing the television versus the theater.
No, I didn't. I did both. I mean, the point is, like, I was doing the Rocky Horror in the King's Road. We opened in '73 at the theatre upstairs in a room, and a 60-seat room. And then they asked us to stay on, and because it was only meant to be for 3 weeks. But people liked it.
It was quite the hit.
At least. And then they said, would you stay on? And I said, no, I can't afford to. Sorry. We're getting 15 quid a week.
Oh my gosh.
Even then, that wasn't much. And I think it was 18, actually. Yeah. Anyway, and so then I went for a television interview to play Christabel Pankhurst in The Suffragettes.
Yes.
And I went for my interviews. I was covered in glitter because we wore glitter in the show. And glitter then was made of glass, and it stuck to your skin. It used to prickle in bed a lot as well.
Oh my God.
And anyway, so like today you just rub it on like a gel, but not then. So you couldn't get it off. So I went for my interview to play Christabel Pankhurst, she who got the vote for women, daughter of Emmeline, yes. And covered in glitter and great Oshkosh dungarees. Reading the Pankhurst speech, you know, my father's a socialist and my father, you know, on soapbox. And they all thought, so they said, yes. And I said, well, I'm doing Rocky Horror at the moment. And they were kind of... The next thing was, we were doing the Rocky Horror in the Chelsea Classic Cinema at the time. And there were no dressing rooms, so audiences couldn't come backstage to see you, say hello. They had to meet in the foyer of the cinema. And the whole team from the Suffragettes, the BBC team, all came to see the show. The director, Waris Hussein, who actually directed the first Doctor Who, and Verity Lambert, who actually created Doctor Who. She's the producer of Doctor Who. And so she was the producer of the Suffragettes. He was my first director. They all arrived at the cinema, and I was coming out, and they said, this is for you. And they handed me the first script of the series. And I said, oh, thank you. But they didn't know that I was thinking, I haven't read this yet. I don't know if it's good enough. Can you believe it? That's the arrogance of youth. It's wonderful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was great. And I read it and thought, this is good. So I said to Rocky Horror, I'm off to be a suffragette. Goodbye.
So how did Rocky Horror come into play for you? You had already established yourself doing kind of more, I would assume, classic theater. When were you introduced to the folks, to Richard O'Brien and the creators of the show?
No, first of all, I'd done one musical. had done before Rocky Horror. I'd done the Threepenny Opera on the West End stage at the Prince of Wales Theatre.
Oh. So
I'd done a very big musical production directed by Tony Richardson, and I was understudying Vanessa Redgrave.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I'm so little and she's so tall. And I thought, how are her frocks going to fit me? Anyway, so I'd done that, and then sorry, what was the question? Sorry, tell me.
Just how did Rocky Horror come into play for you? When were you introduced to Richard O'Brien?
Oh, yeah. No, I'll tell you exactly what happened. See, I didn't know this till I read Jim Sharman's book, Blood and Tinsel, which is brilliant, by the way. It's his autobiography.
Oh, excellent.
I didn't know this. Lots of things I didn't know till I read that. I did a play before, a play at the Royal Court Upstairs Theatre, I did. Richard O'Brien did a Sam Shepard play, and no, this is it, sorry. I was interviewed for a play for Upstairs at the Theatre a year before Rocky Horror. And I got that part, and it was a play called AC/DC by Heathcote Williams. And that play won the Evening Standard Award for the best play that year. So we won that. A year later, I did Rocky Horror, and that won the best musical of the year. So unbeknown to me, Jim Sharman had seen me in AC/DC. I never knew he'd seen me. So I wasn't an unknown quantity to him when I auditioned for Rocky Horror. I never knew that. And anyway, so then I went to see them for Rocky Horror at the Irish Club of all places off Sloane Street. Auditions were there. Oh, I've told this story so many times. I think people must be bored by it.
Sorry, it's always interesting to hear.
Is it?
Your story. Absolutely. Right.
So anyway, so I went in and I saw these guys, and I thought they looked quite interesting. Mr. O'Brien, his leopard skin coat and long hair, riffraff's hair.
Yes.
And Jim Sharman in his wedge white shoes, Australian. And Richard Hartley at the piano, the MD, with hair like Pat Quinn, curly like Room. And who else? Others. So I thought they're quite an interesting looking bunch. So they said to me, "Have you got a song for us?" And I thought, oh, here we go. And I said, yeah. And they said, Richard Hartley said, "May I have your sheet music? Your sheet music, please." I said, "I don't have any sheet music." He said, "Oh." I said, "It's all right. I've got it in my head, the tune." By this time, they're thinking, mm-mm. And then I started to sing my song, and it was a 1930s song, Jesse Matthews song.
Mm.
And this is a rock and roll musical I'm up for. But I thought I didn't know any rock and roll songs, you know, like no Paul Anka or anything like that. I didn't know any. Anyway, and I had my first husband being a drummer before he was an actor. And I shouldn't say this, but he actually used to say to me, "You haven't got any rhythm, Pat." I never stopped telling him I had a gold record, and he didn't. After Rocky, that is. Anyway, so I sang this song, Jesse Matthews, and it was, I was a prisoner locked in the jail. Love held the only key. And then she sings, "Over my shoulder goes one care." High kicks. Well, by the time that finished, they were now looking like, mm-hmm. And then, unbelievable, Richard O'Brien said, "If I play this song for you on the guitar, do you think you could sing along with me?" I said, And he started to play. Ding, 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 ding. Sorry, I've become emotional. And I thought, what's that? I knew it was something. I just knew. And I thought, oh my goodness, that's wonderful, that song. The words, the things, the whole thing of it. So I left and I ran down the King's Road, like beyond belief, because I knew. And I got home and my agent said, I was home half an hour, and he rang, said, "They want you to do this." He said, "Oh." He said, "You go and pick up the script at the stage door," because I'd never read a script even. And I said, "Oh, that's fantastic." And he said, it was 18 quid a week, and he wasn't very interested in that, 10% of that. And he said, well, maybe the script might be, you know, I've told this story, it might be just, you know, a song and 4 lines. I said, I don't care what it is, I'm doing that. I'm singing that song. And I went and got the script, and I came back home and I looked through the pages.
Well, it strikes me that I've heard that you contributed significantly to the development of Magenta as a character. Is that a fair assessment? Did you find yourself contributing a lot in the process of creating that character?
Well, of course, but there were no more lines. I only did it for the song. I didn't do it to play someone called Magenta.
Interesting.
I wanted to sing the song, and she was made to be an usherette. But the amazing thing is that we were there while the whole thing was being created. Songs were coming in overnight and things, you know. So, I mean, someone brought up a lot of stills from the show recently on Facebook, and I thought, good gosh, I was amazed by them, because for me, they're even more interesting than the film. The energy in that show, and like the only props we had were wooden chairs. We had nothing. There was no budget. There was no money. We didn't have a set. We had nothing. Unbelievable. What happened? Extraordinary. Oh, sorry, I've gone funny about it.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I can't believe it. It was amazing.
So you had mentioned being so fond of singing science fiction double feature picture show. And I had heard that you very nearly did not do the film because of an issue with the depiction of the song. Could you tell me a little about that?
Yeah, because they said, Jim Sharman, I met them at a restaurant, The Art, to talk about doing the film. And I thought, a film? You know, I'd left it to be a suffragette, the show. They went on, you know, forever, on to other theatres. And kind of forgotten about it. And then the next thing, a film. And yeah, we went to lunch, and that's when Jim Sharman said, but, you know, there won't be no usherette, because film-wise that won't work, an usherette as we had. And that's when I said, which you know, I said, well, what do you mean I'm not singing science fiction? He said, well, no, because we're not having that character. I said, well, forget it. I don't wish to do your film. If I'm not singing the song, I'm sorry, I don't want to do it. And they all went, sit down. I said, no, I'm sorry. And John Goldstein, one of the producers who lived around the corner, his house was on the corner in Kensington. And they said, let's go around to John Goldstein's house and we want to show you the sets. Thank God that happened. Sorry. And then, so I went round there with all of them, and they were looking at the costume designs, the dress for dinner, then I'm looking at a thing called the Pink Laboratory. Oh my. So I said, oh, I'm doing this. He said, right. I couldn't believe it, what they created. Imagine, I might have done it. Everything was fortuitous for me in that. That's when the great thing about not being the usherette was on the last day of the shoot, to wrap, bye-bye, Bray Studios, all going home, it's over. And Jim Sharman said, Pat, yeah. He said, I was wondering if, did you ever see the painting of Man Ray's lips?
Yes.
No, Jim Sharman said that to me. I love you. And at some point, and I said no, because I hadn't. See, I hadn't ever. And he said, it's a painting of his mistress's mouth in the sky. I said, oh. He said, well, I have an idea. He said, what I think is that you could have your lips, a disembodied mouth, singing science fiction. And that's when I said, because Richard O'Brien had recorded it and beautifully singing the song. And I said, my mouth and his voice, how much? See? You think that would never have happened. I was thinking that when I was getting ready for this in the bathroom, brushing my teeth, of course, in honor of you. And I was thinking, it's extraordinary, because I just was thinking, I've got the most famous lips in the world. And then I think, Mick Jagger. You think, yeah, he's the mouth. Mick Jagger's the mouth, darling.
He's a distant
second. What?
A pale runner-up to your lips.
I don't know. He was way ahead of everything. That mouth was it. But I go past this shop, H&M, and there's T-shirts with the lips on and whatever. I was thinking about that. I never got a penny for that mouth. And it's amazing. They made it. I was now on the stage in the West End, and I got a call from Rocky Horror saying, will you come to the studios? We're going to film the lips today. I thought, oh. So I went to the studio, and it was Elstree, and it was completely empty because no films were being made. Very sad. We were the only camera crew there. Little crew. And me blacked up with my mouth red. Black makeup to black out my face. Sitting in the sun, waiting to be called. Amazing. Completely empty. And then I went in, and this is another thing people know, is that they had no special effects to make the mouth. There's no way to, it's very, so what they did is they put a black cloth over the camera and they cut a little hole in it and focused on but when you sing, because I had to do it, you move, your head, everything moves. So the mouth was going out of frame. I couldn't contain it. And that's when they said, take that arc lamp out of that and get and clamp it. Get the clamp and clamp her in. So they put my head in the thing that holds the lamp and screwed it. It's brilliant. And my husband, that's the other thing at the time, was ringing for a divorce, kept ringing. I said, tell him I can't do anything about a divorce today. I'm clamped. Couldn't answer. Couldn't talk to him.
Well, let's actually talk a little bit about your affiliation with a project that is a favorite of BritCon patrons, Doctor Who. Were you a fan of the Doctor Who series prior to doing it?
Yeah, the thing is, I've always said this, you can always tell people's age by their doctor. So if you say that's your doctor, you think, oh yeah, I know. So my doctor was
Sylvester McCoy, I believe.
No, he was the one I worked with, but he wasn't the one I loved. But which one was mine? My son watched Doctor Who, and he did hide behind the sofa. A lot of dialects then.
Absolutely.
Not enough now, and he was frightened, and so his doctor. That's when I got interested. And it was the second doctor. What's his name?
Was it Patrick Troughton?
Yeah, Troughton. That's right.
I'm sorry. Yes.
That's right. Patrick Troughton. Brilliant. And I eventually worked with him, which was nice.
Excellent.
Anyway, yeah, I did the Box of Delights, a Christmas thing with him. It was wonderful. Anyway, I thought he was great. I liked him as Doctor Who. And then I had no interest in it after that. You know, it wasn't, yeah. And then, as I've said, it was every actress's bucket list, what you wanted to do. Doctor Who was on every list, on the, you know, the things to be done. And one was a comedy act, Morecambe and Wise. They'd bring on actresses like Glenda Jackson and people to do a dance sequence or something. Morecambe and Wise was another one. Another one was reading a book on television. It was called Jack and Ori for children. And it was kind of the things an actress should do, you know, if possible. And then they just rang me up out of the blue and said about Doctor Who. It's extraordinary.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
What was it like working with this very established ensemble of cast and crew on the series? And what was Mr. McCoy like?
Oh, I know him. He's lovely. Who was established? What do you mean? I know Bonnie Langford was in it, and I know Bonnie forever. No, not forever. And she was leaving, and the new girl was taking over. So it was quite a kind of eventful Doctor Who, called Dragonfire, because of that circumstance as well. And actually, the BBC came here the other day to interview me about that, because they put together a massive package of Doctor Who's. And they said they'd do an interview 2 to 3 hours. And I thought, what? I thought, I've done many interviews, but never. Who could talk that long? And anyway, and then they came in. It was for the BBC, and they came into my place, and I watched them coming out of their car, and the equipment they were bringing up. They turned this whole place into a studio. This is my amateur lighting I've got today. My whole place was like the studio at the BBC. It was extraordinary. And the guy was a BBC cameraman. And I thought, this is astonishing. And there were 2 interviewers. No wonder, because I was exhausted. We needed 2. Anyway, and I thought, 2-hour interview, come on. And they arrived at 12:30 in the day, and they left at 6 that night. They did from the day I was born. There's a song in that. From the day she was born, she was trouble. That's Rocky Horror. It keeps cropping up, damn it. Anyway, and from the day I was born, and I thought, why do they need this for Doctor Who? They did all of Rocky Horror, everything. I've never seen that interview. Mean Gits, they didn't give it to me. Anyway, I don't know. Couldn't believe it, and I thought, why do they need? And then it was unbelievable what happened. A guy rang me the next day, said, "I'm so sorry, Pat, but it was all on digital, and one of the things had got something had happened to it." And they said, the dreadful thing is, it was the Doctor Who sequence.
Oh, good heavens.
They said, so we were wondering if we could come back. I said, what? Maybe tomorrow. I said, oh.
Excellent. Well, you also did a radio drama episode.
I just wanted to tell you quickly that I said to him, he was terrified to ask me in case I said no, because they messed up the Doctor Who sequence. That's what it was about. And I said, well, the thing is, I got up this morning and I thought, where are the boys? All of them. I missed you. Come at once. Anyway, sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, I was going to ask you about the radio edition of Doctor Who that you had participated in. What was that like?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. That was good. You kind of did it in a garage or something.
Oh, wow.
Very odd. Called Bang Bang a Boom. Oh, yeah, I met those guys at the Comic-Con, the guys who made that. Yeah. It was good, that script.
Wonderful. Well, I would imagine it would be just acting with your voice alone is a very different approach than having to be on camera and having to,
No,
there.
no.
Do you find that to be the case, or do you find it very similar?
All of it's the same.
I've noted you've played a lot of historic figures in your career. Christabel Pankhurst in Shoulder to Shoulder, and you played George Sand in.
She was wonderful.
Yeah, a fascinating character,
Mm.
and also Livia, the very interesting sister.
Yeah, La Villa. Yeah.
Excuse me, of I, Claudius. How would you compare playing a real life figure to playing a character that's kind of fabricated from whole cloth? Is there any difference for you?
No.
Do you tend to research those sorts of roles a lot, or do you just kind of go with?
Yeah, of course, if it exists. But I mean, it's extraordinary in London. There's no books on George Sand. It's extraordinary that.
Oh, wow.
I could only find one second hand in a very special place in Covent Garden. But I couldn't research her because there was no material. It was extraordinary.
Interesting.
And she kind of needed researching because I didn't really. Of course, I knew she dressed as a man and all of that, and that was her whole thing. She dressed like that so she could go alone to the theatre.
Yeah.
As a female, she couldn't have done that. So she was the first trouser suit, really, for women.
Well before Kate Hepburn, for sure.
Yeah.
And I am enormously fond of your work in The Lords of Salem. I think that your work alongside Judy Geeson and Dee Wallace in that movie, it's easily the best part of the film for me. What was Rob Zombie like as a director, and what was the chemistry like working on that set and being amongst those actors?
No, Rob Zombie's adorable. He's a Rocky Horror fan, bless his heart. I love him.
He's terrific.
And so, yeah, I mean, it was great because I made it in LA, so I had to go there, and the studio's there. And it was great. Lovely. Just didn't have enough to do, really.
I would have really appreciated, and I think most fans would have appreciated much more of those characters in that movie. So, yeah. One thing that's really struck me about looking at your career is that you've made some of your strongest impressions in kind of sci-fi and horror projects. There's a lot we haven't even talked about yet. Do you find yourself, Beauty and the Beast, the 1976 TV film you had done, Hawk the Slayer. Do you find yourself particularly drawn to genre roles?
No.
Okay.
I take what I get. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. No. Hawk the Slayer was great.
Well, it's like another very interesting.
Yeah, but here's the joke about that. She was called Old Woman. That was the name of my character. And I was dressed in another witchy, spooky, fortune telling. And so I was in rags and around my neck, lots of bones and things. Very uncomfortable. And again, our first day was in Black Park outside, I think it was at Elstree. And I was tied up to a tree with a bonfire under me. They were going to burn me. And it was pouring rain all day. And I'm hanging from a tree in these rags, which weighed a ton, and the bones.
The glamour of show business.
And Warren Clark goes by on his horse. Hawk goes by. Warren Clark shouting, burn the hag, burn her. I thought, wish they would, I'm freezing. And then Hawk goes by and goes, ping. and I come down from the tree. John Hurt was making a film. There was another film going on there, a big movie, forgotten which one. And I went into the club or into the lunch thing in my rags and whatever. I mean, nobody knew who I was. And John Hurt's an old friend of mine from when we were 18. You know? And I said, hello, John. He thought, who's that? I said, it's me, woman. Anyway, she was called Old Woman, and then they decided to change it and call her Woman. I thought, thanks. But Jack Palance was in it. Who wouldn't work with Jack Palance?
Good heavens. There's a colorful character for you. What was he like?
Oh, very nice. And yeah, we all went to a party. We went to a party at the producer's house, and he was there. It's adorable. I mean, I was a girl at the movie house with my mother, you know, like at the cinema with my mother, and seeing Jack Palance things, Panic in the Street and things. God, I knew who he was. Astonishing. And then they said to me, you know, they interviewed us for the television. Jack Palance was sitting there and being interviewed. And then the guy said, and this is Patricia Quinn playing Woman. I said, hello. And Jack Palance was sitting there. And they said, why did you choose to do this? He said, because I always wear black. I like to wear black. I thought, good on you, Jack.
So I wanted to ask you a bit about Americans are fascinated by titles and English hierarchy. And you gave us a little bit of a hint of that earlier, but how well does our notion of ladyship measure with reality, your day-to-day life?
What do you mean your notion?
I think we think of it as being all in carriages, surrounded by opulence, constantly
darling, but excuse me, we actually don't have carriages in this day and age. So get with it, okay? It might be Rolls Royces or something, but not carriage. You know, the horses outside the door, the carriage. Wish we did. Because I've played a lot of maids. Where did I play a maid? Oh yeah, a Molly Keane thing, big television series. Rose, the Irish maid. We're always Irish and we're maids, and we're always called Rose. Okay, so and I'm a lady, and I can do either of those. But it's great being a lady, and well, my husband was knighted by the Queen of England. God bless her. Because of his work in the theatre. He's a wonderful actor, Shakespearean, all of that. Done lots of things. Robert Stevens. So the Prince of Wales saw Robert at Stratford-upon-Avon. Robert was playing Falstaff and Henry V, no, Henry IV, 1 and 2, and King Lear. And his King Lear was, even though I say it myself, was stunning, like really special. And the prince saw it and got him a knighthood. Isn't that nice?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I lived with Robert for 20 years or so, and but he occasionally would ask me to marry him, and I'd think no. Because I'd already been married and divorced, so I didn't want to do that again. I'd done that. And then when he got his knighthood, I thought, So at the time he was convalescing, he'd been in hospital and he was, convalescing after that. So I rang the place and I said, oh yeah, I was on a tour with Rocky Horror, and I went back to it 21 years later on the stage at the Duke of York's Theatre in the West End. But I had to do a weekly tour before to bring it in, you see. So I was on that tour, and I came home one night from Sheffield on the Saturday night, I think it was, and the makeup girl, Natalie, drove me home from Sheffield. We came home together, and it was like 2 a.m. And I came in and I saw these letters on the floor, and I picked them up. And I thought, what's that? Is that a tax? It was in a brown envelope, I think. And odd that. And I opened it. It was for Robert, but he was in the convalescent home, so I opened his stuff. And it was from the Prime Minister saying, would you accept a knighthood? I thought, oh my goodness. So you can't tell anyone about a knighthood. If it leaks, you don't get it.
Ah.
So you can't open your mouth before the day in the palace, before the sword comes down. Because I knew a woman who became a lady, and she told me that odd piece of information to have picked up on the way somewhere, but I did. And I thought, oh, and I'd nobody to tell because Robert wasn't here. And I thought, what am I going to do? And it's now 3 a.m, and I've got to tell someone. I can't waken Robert. So I rang Natalie Wiggs, the makeup girl. I said, Natalie. I said, Robert. And she was, because I had to tell somebody. Anyway, the next morning I told Robert, and I said, no matter what happens, Robert, whether I bring an archbishop, or, a priest, or whatever, but I'll be down to your bedside to get married. And Robert said, gotcha. That's how I became a lady.
Wonderful.
And the Prince of Wales said to me after a while, and I saw him, and he said, Pat, he said, how do you like being a lady? And I said, it's a gas, sir. Good old Charlie boy. Love you.
So I was curious, what's next?
It's very nice. It's very nice. I don't use it. Listen, like people say, you can get your table at the Ivy. I got tables at the Ivy not being a lady. I didn't need it. You know what I mean? But it's rather nice. I like it. I got married to be a bloody lady. And I don't marry everyone. Anyway.
So, what is next for you creatively and in general?
I don't know, because my Comic-Con agent, Julian, was saying that, cons are starting up again and things. And I've really missed them. I really enjoy them. And I'm in a different state once a month, not in a state of mind state, in a state in America.
Yes.
And I really miss the buzz of it, Anyway, I do really enjoy them. And they're extraordinary. Like in Toronto, the 200,000 people at that one. It's extraordinary.
Wow.
Yeah. And as little Nell said in Seattle, it was amazing on the television because the interviewer said to us, to Nell and Pat on the set on the television stage. And there was an audience as well. And she said, do you never get tired of doing these Comic-Cons? And Nell said, well, it's very nice to be worshipped. And the lady, the interviewer said, oh, I could do it with a bit of that. And Nell said, get a dog. But we got out of it because the interviewer said, oh, I'd love a dog. Sorry. That's my Seattle. That's her. She's a naughty girl. She's in lockdown at the moment, serious, in Sydney, Australia. And I was going to tell her, could she stay in lockdown a bit longer? Because she is posting every day on Instagram from the archives, all of her special memorabilia. And by goodness, it's brilliant. She's done it all, that girl. I thought I'd done that. She has. Amazing.
I was going to say, you're no slouch yourself in terms of a life well lived.
No, but honestly, I mean, she showed a photograph the other day. She used to run Nell's, the club in New York. And it was, you know, Studio 54 and Nell's, and they were the clubs. And extraordinary. She posted a photo the other day, and at the table, she said she used to give dinner parties at the club, Nell's table. And there was Andy Warhol, Sting, and Bob Dylan.
Wow.
It's extraordinary. You know? Like there's nobody she didn't know, but she says that, you know, it was from 10 till 4 every morning, 7 days a week. It's quite a graft, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. So besides Nell, do you keep in touch with many of the other Rocky Horror cast members? I would imagine in convention circles, maybe, but are you in touch with many of the folks that you worked with on Rocky Horror?
No, they're not here. I mean, Nell's in Sydney, Barry's in Florida, Tim's in LA, O'Brien's in New Zealand. Like he was my mate. He was my chum, Richard. You know. Like here, you know, our kids' birthday parties, da 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 da. We go back forever. We always stayed, you know, friends. But the others, they didn't live here. So no. Oh, I miss Richard. It's awful. But he's from New Zealand originally, and he went back to New Zealand. He always knew he would do that.
Interesting.
Mm.
Excellent. Well, the Rocky Horror Picture Show just never dies.
It's truly extraordinary. This is terribly funny. Yesterday, I was talking to British Gas to change my gas bill, people. And so I rang up British Gas, and I'm talking to this bloke. And eventually, we talked for so long trying to get it all right. And then he said, I could hear his accent. And I said, where are you? And he said, where am I? I said, yes, where are you? He said, I'm in Manchester. I said, oh, right, because I can hear it's got a northern accent, Manchester, you see. And I said, we're going to Manchester in October to do a Comic-Con. And Tim Curry's coming, and Nell and Barry, Meatloaf. I said, so, and he said, I said, it's the Rocky Horror Picture Show, blah, 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 blah. And he said, and I don't know that. I said, oh, right. And I said, well, you must know Meatloaf. He said, no, I don't. I thought, he said, might be too young. I was born in 98.
Oh, my heavens.
I thought, is he 3 years of age? You know, I couldn't calculate because 98 sounded like, I thought, what? Like, I'm talking to a 2-year-old. And he said, I'm 21 or 20, whatever he was. Work it out. And I said, oh. I said, what? We have 3-year-olds know Rocky Horror. So you could know it. I said, and have you never heard Meatloaf? He said, no. I said, do look up Bat Out of Hell, please. I said, because it's time you did. I said, come and see me at the Comic-Con. I've got your name now. I'm going to look out for you. You know, and it's caused a big stir because Tim Curry's never signed in England.
Oh, wow.
So they're all going, woo.
Well,
Nell's in lockdown, so cross fingers. Australia's very strict on that.
Yeah. So I'm delighted that you are here to speak with us.
Pleasure.
And I just wanted to make sure that the fans knew that there are autographed photos available from Patricia. In addition, you can also opt for a short video chat with her. I mean, we've just scratched the surface of this festival career. So take advantage of a short video chat. For more information on how to purchase, go to BritCon.org and link to her page, or use one of the photo and autograph links on the homepage. BritCon would like to thank Alliance Agents for bringing Patricia to us today. It has been delightful speaking to you, Patricia. Thank you so much for taking the time. Very much appreciated. And
yeah, you're real good.
Thank you.
You know your stuff, matey. It's lovely. Thank you.
Well, I am an admirer of your work, so that helps a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We acknowledge Alliance Agents for assisting us in obtaining our guests.
That was great, wasn't it? I'm the Doctor, and you are watching BritCon. Don't go away.